Welcome to My Long Island TV. From Manhasset to Montauk, we have traveled our communities to bring you the following events. I'm your host, Waldo Cabrera. My Long Island TV starts now.
I'm from Huntington. I'm born and raised here in Huntington, and I moved to Patchogue after I left active duty Air Force, and that's where I still am. The book is called The Journey for Mama's Babies, and it's based on my 3-year time period where I brought 4 biological siblings home from Russia. It started out with me initially trying to adopt 2 children, and eventually we found out that it would be 3 children, not 2. And by the time we were ending the adoption for the 3 children, a 4th one was born. So now we added the 4th one in, and it became this whole journey of bringing 4 children home and the trials and tribulations of getting through the adoption process. I was yelling and kicking and screaming and eating and drinking, and I was a mess, and it wasn't easy for me to understand what was going on. I say I crashed and burned, and I hit bottom when my children came home, which was a shock to me because all I ever wanted was to be a stay-at-home mom. And I was a full-time military person, and I left that intentionally to be a stay-at-home mom. And then when I went through all these emotions and feelings and things that was going on, I didn't understand why. So I started doing research on the internet, and I found out it was post-adoption depression, that it is prevalent. More than 60% of adoptive parents go through some form of it, yet it's never spoken about. This book actually started out as it's a journal that I had kept when I was adopting. The book was written for my children, so my goal for the book initially was just so that my children knew where they came from and how they became my children. And since I added in, I was open and honest about my post-adoption depression and all things that went in, I now hope that I open up the lines about adoption more and that people understand that it's not just signing papers and have some children. It's a process, and it's a transition for the child and for the parent. I kind of compare things to a pregnancy. And the first adoption, even though it was 3 children, it was fairly simple. It went through a timeline. There was a lot of paperwork that we went through, but it flowed fairly smoothly, as from what I hear most people say about a first pregnancy. But then the time the second adoption came around, because he was a separate adoption, the laws had changed. Russia had shut down. There was a lot of politics going on. I had to go down to Washington, D.C. and actually present my children that I had to Russian delegates so that they knew they were with me and they weren't being harmed. And I compare that to a second pregnancy because a lot of women are like, whoa, this isn't like the first one, what happened here? And I really didn't know anybody else that had adopted. So all my research was based on how-to books, basically, because back then there wasn't a lot of family stories out there. It was mainly how to adopt, what to expect when you're adopting, and what to expect from the children that you adopt. I didn't have a lot of insider information or people to go to that openly spoke about some of the trials and tribulations. I'm hoping that my book opens the door to communication and says, hey, you know, it's there and it's real, and you know, we all get through it.
Melissa has made us very proud, and the kids are outstanding, and to have them as members of our family and our grandchildren. They're 4 of our 10 grandchildren that we have, and we're very proud.
The whole journey was a great read, brought tears to my eyes. The struggles I've seen them as a friend from the outside going through, and then bringing these 4 wonderful children home was incredible. It is incredible.
There's so much more to adoption than I think people know and understand, especially non-adoptive parents, and that we're more like quote-unquote birth parents, if you want to say that, people that birth their children, than you may think. And we all have our ups and downs, and the bottom line is we all want the same thing. We want to produce strong and healthy children that are functioning citizens in society.